This transfer window is getting worse by the day. At least that's what it feels like. I don't know about everybody else, but we're getting quite a lot of bad news coming through in a long, stringy, spaghetti like line. Except the spaghetti, you can't chew through it. It's like maybe gummy worm, because gummy worms are quite hard to chew through sometimes, depending on what sort it is. And maybe it's like a big gummy worm rather than small gummy worms. But you get my point. This summer transfer window seems to be taking a nosedive, not in terms just in terms of activity, but in terms of the plan itself, the very foundations of what this summer transfer window was meant to be, is now doing everything it's not. Xerxes and Yoro, I think Xerxes was the first planned thing. Yoro wasn't planned. And then we had the likes of Agate, Delict, and Mazraoui, three names that I've made in the previous videos, three players waiting for the transfers to happen once the clubs figured their stuff out. That's not going to happen. I think the only person realistically that is probably going to happen now is Matthias de Ligt, because we desperately need another centre back. Because our other one we've just signed is gone. Is gone for 3 months, 3 to 4 months. Broken metatarsal, had his surgery, all went well apparently. So well wishes to him and a speedy recovery to Lenny Yoro. Um, so yeah, we're in the shit basically, and we desperately need another centre back. So how we're going to do that deal, I don't know. But the summer has become solely, strangely enough, solely revolvent around outgoings, and it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense to me because it's like this summer we've not paid the full amount, like, or what we haven't done is actually spread payments or spread costs. We've just outright blown full budgets up front, pay the full amounts and all of that, because then that would make sense that the budgets have been exhausted. But we've only really spent somewhere around what 25 to 30 million pounds. Even if the budget was ludicrously low, you could still have the wiggle room to actually do other deals and then spread costs in those regards. I mean, of course, PSG are demanding stupid money for Agate, and then the reports came out saying, look, Agate, it's not going to happen, guys. We're not going to do this deal because PSG don't want to do the deal on cheaper terms. They've drawn the obsidian line, bedrock, Minecraft bedrock can't penetrate it. Once you hit that level, that's it. No, no room for negotiating, no room for compromises, nothing here, nothing that. They simply want to make back all the money that they spent on the player, which, logical, biological means, it doesn't, the dots don't connect. So we're in we're in troubled times with the midfield department because we've been recommended, or we're basically we've identified players as alternatives to Manuel Agate, and some of these names are actually just ridiculous. I mean, Sander Berg is Sander Berg, however you pronounce his name. I don't really want to pronounce his name. I don't want to say his name at all, but he's linked. He's linked, and I think that's probably the cheap and easy alternative. That sounds like a sort of thing that a John Murta would do. Genuinely, go from Agate to Sander Berg. But these are people that are the best in class at running the football club, and I still thoroughly believe that they are. They are the best people in their respective positions that we could possibly have at this club. But the the sins of the father shall be met upon the shall be met upon the children. And, the old regime, the sins of the old regime will come back to haunt this one. And we're seeing it in absolute widespread abundance. It doesn't stop. There's something new. Like, for instance, Wan-Bissaka wants the rest of his wages paid off in order to leave. He's not fussed about leaving. How many players at this club are not fussed about leaving? No challenge to the ambition. Somebody in that club has got to state to those players, if you don't get off your ass and start thinking about the bigger picture here and start servicing for yourself, guess what? We will ruin your career for you. We will take it out of your hands. We will take your destiny and we'll flush it down the toilet. We will start messing around with what you do, what you can and can't do at the club. We'll make you train on your own. We will keep you out of every matchday squad for the whole season. And that will happen if you, playing a part of the bigger picture, cannot let us move on without you. And that's as simple as it's got to be. I think there has to be the aspect of tough love for them, because these players don't do the job for the club anymore. We've seen shades of it pre-season. McTominay's not fussed about going. Wan-Bissaka's not fussed about going. Eriksen's not fussed about going. Maguire can't be asked to go. Lindelof probably can't be asked to go. Who else wouldn't be asked? Maybe Casemiro. I mean, to be honest, Casemiro probably wouldn't be bothered, given how much he's earning at the stage of his career. He probably doesn't feel like there is any chance of getting the money that he's getting at Manchester United anywhere else in the world. We've heard that Antony was linked to Saudi Arabia as well. Al Nassr, apparently throwaway story, not really any legs to it, no legs to the story. And even then, he wouldn't want to make that jump. He wouldn't want to make that jump. And this club, I feel like there's not really enough sort of doing things that I think are quite hard to have to do. And I think some of the most outrageous shit that you see other clubs do, like, for example, Turkish clubs, they barely want to spend a dime on transfer fees, right? Because you'll see it every big club in the Prem gets a Turkish transfer story come through. It's like a player worth £50 million. The Turkish club bid £1 million for the player that's worth £50 million. It's like, but why? Why would you bother? Why would you bother with that transfer? With that transfer package, there's no value to it. So you get to that point, but then a Turkish club at the same time will then spend about several £1 million to rip up a whole plethora of contracts and just say, well, screw you guys, you're fired. So players you just signed have got to go find a new club again in the midst of a season. So a Turkish club will do some of the most insane shit to actually get this bigger picture envisioned by everyone, by a collective. And those that don't fit that picture, you either leave in the ways in which we would like to get you to leave, and if you refuse, you're in for a real shit time, really, really shit time. And that's, I think that's the way that some of these egos, these personalities that don't want to go, that need to go, should be how they should be treated. That's just my opinion. You guys might disagree with that, but I feel like when you are paid as much money as you are, with so much responsibility, and if you're a boss and you're just like, well, we need to get this new asset in to further this project, right? this will improve the club. And then the person that is, that needs to go is just like, do you know what? Do you know what I think of your project? And then sits there on their fat ass, and you're saying, well, we need to get rid of you. You've got to go. And it's like, well, I'm not going. And I think the way that I feel that that person should be treated is like, okay, then, well, since that we don't want to pay off the wages to fire you, we don't want to, cost ourselves any more money than what you're currently getting. I know. Oh, yes, I do. What we'll do is you do want to be a professional footballer, right? Yeah, yeah, good, good. So you want to be a professional footballer. You enjoy being a professional footballer. Yes, good, fantastic. Be concerned if you weren't. And in your position, if you were to lose that privilege of being able to play for a football club for a whole year, not a single minute seen for a football pitch, that I think a lot of players would look at that and go, shit. Well, missing a year through injury is catastrophic. Well, missing a year because you were an arsehole during the summer transfer window, yeah, I'd probably say that one's a bit more tragic, because not only is it that your ego's hurt, but your career and your aspirations and your ambitions just died. It all just died altogether. And all you had to do to avoid that was say, well, I don't want to go, but I don't have a choice, because as a professional footballer, I represent the role model figure that people that are up and coming in football look up to people like me. The youngsters in this club and other clubs around the world, I, I am a significant role model to them. So if I'm happily flushing years of my career down the toilet because, I wouldn't go get a transfer to a different club, I mean, why have an agent? Why have an agent if, you don't fancy leaving a football club? It's like you get to Manchester United and that's it. You just, I'll sack off everybody. I'm not leaving this club ever again. Well, sorry, if Ferguson was here and he didn't want you at the club, your ass would know about it. And you'd be fucking shit scared. You'd be shit scared. You'll be onto that agent's phone line, hotline bling. Please get me out of this club before Ferguson fucking finds me. And fucking, turns me into a human pretzel. Please get me out of this club. I'm a celebrity. I'm a handbag celebrity footballer. Get me out of Manchester United. That's how it would have happened. But yeah, in terms of players not wanting to move on, it's costing Manchester United dearly. And I know that there's a lot of fans that say this is the end of the world. I don't think it is the end of the world, but it is a severe, severe case of hindrance to this football club and its immediate future. Now, I believed that, solving most of our problems this summer transfer window would probably be a case of being too good to be true. And perhaps that's the essence, that we've just got to have a bit of patience with this, that we've got to be a bit more relaxed with this. Let time and these people that we've got in charge do the job that they're here to do, because we can't, Rome was never built in a day. But at Manchester United, the expectation, some would say, is to build Rome in not just a day, but an hour. But unfortunately, with the way football works, unless real miracles happen, with this summer's transfer window, it's definitely proven that miracles will not happen for Manchester United. We've got to play the long game in quite a few various instances. So here we are in trouble because our first priority midfield target's gone. Turning our attention to alternatives, Zubimendi is the option that I would have gone with even over Agate, but that's by the by. That's not going to happen because that's about the same amount of money or just a little bit less money than what Agate fee would have been, and that's a release clause as well. And Sociedad has already said we're not letting him go for less than this release clause because we're not negotiating. You either pay a release clause or get gone. And so that makes the Zubimendi deal nigh on impossible. So we can chalk that one off. The other three in the most recent, this comes from Ducker, James Ducker, I believe it is, from the Telegraph, referencing Sander Berge, Richard Rios, and the re-signing of Sofiane Amrabat. Those are the three other alternatives to a Zubimendi. There's talks potentially reigniting the Ederson transfer story from Atalanta. I'm more partial to that than the likes of Sander Berge. But also another name that's been mentioned as a deal that we could end up hijacking is Yusuf. What's his name? It's right off the tip of my tongue. It's not Fofana. Is it Fofana? Is it Yusuf Fofana? Trying to find him. Trying to find the man. But hijacking the transfer from there we are. Yes, Yusuf Fofana. Supposedly one track mind going to AC Milan. But any deal that isn't complete, that isn't, pen to paper, plans can change. Plans can change. And I think if Manchester United do fully get in contact with Fofana's entourage, that the mind can be swayed. So even if he is hell-bent on going to AC Milan, he could have his mind changed at any second. So far, all the targets that we have fully gone in for, we've got personal terms agreed for every single player that we've fully spoken to. So we know that convincing the players that Manchester United is the project and understanding like wages and how, what the role in the team is going to be, is no problems whatsoever. So I think Fofana would be a good acquisition. Some people will say, well, he's not necessarily the defensive midfielder that we're looking for. Well, that may not be the case, but as another midfielder, that puts us away from having mediocre players playing in the team. Keep the dross out of the starting 11. So it would be a progressive signing to make. We'd still need a proper specialised DM. We can't necessarily win the Premier League without one. Man City will tell you that with Rodri and God's work that he does. And and all the clubs that have won Premier Leagues previously, all of the iconic teams that have won the Premier League, they've all had defensive midfielders and specialist DMs at that as well. So, there's a model pattern here for success, having a defensive midfielder in the team. Football might be trying to evolve in a way where having a six is not necessary, but then we are literally it's just a shooting gallery for everybody. There's talk with the team, with words from Onana, Andre Onana, that the intent for the squad this season is not to play it safe, that they want to take risks, and he tells the fans, listen, for what to expect, he will echo the sentiments of what the managers told him. So he's clearly been told by somebody in the coaching side of things, there's no more playing it safe here. We're going to play a lot more precarious, well, not precarious, but without caution, a lot more sort of what Ten Hag would want to play. And perhaps that, I mean, it's a risk, it's a massive risk, and that's exactly what he's saying. That it would be a big risk for us to do that, to actually go out there and have players in the team that don't suit the modern style of play that the manager wants to play. But at the same time, it's like, well, we're in this for the long run. I know my job is, unless it goes that badly wrong, which I don't think it should, I'm hoping it doesn't. I've got to push my philosophy now, because the bosses upstairs are paying attention to what my philosophy is. And if it doesn't match up to what I say to them, then I am in trouble. And I wouldn't have to be losing every game in order to do that. So I think there is essentially, and I suppose that's kind of how it somewhat went down against Liverpool, that we played um, that we played having quite a lot of chances, but then the same old story, how we're wasteful, sort of reared its ugly head again. And people may be saying, well, that's going to be the problem that comes back to bite us again this season. But this time we're not playing really dull, boring football, or trying to, try and play a counter attack whilst conceding about 50 chances a game. Maybe we concede about 50 chances every game, but we're making that many more. But we've got to find the clinical finishing piece, but not just the finishing has got to improve, but the creation of the chances as well. So, yeah, I do seriously think that the approach to football next season will be a bit easier to watch. I'm hoping it will be easier to watch. But once again, the summer is proving that from a dream scenario where Ten Hag is playing some good football with all of his targets, or most of his targets, in the door, playing their stuff, getting used to everything, and knocking down the challenges as they come. It's becoming a pipe dream. It's becoming a pipe dream, and it's going up in smoke. It is really going up in smoke. So maybe next season, if things really do get dire, like really, really dire, where our centre back partnership is Martinez and Maguire / Lindelof next to him, and that's the best options. And then in midfield, Scott McTominay still starts. Wan-Bissaka still starts at right back. Kobbie Mainoo is rotating with Casemiro. And, the likes of Jadon Sancho and Antony still trying to, do madnesses by being mad. Well, Antony's case more so than Sancho's, but, there's a lot of, damning negatives about that team. And it doesn't fill myself with a lot of confidence that this season's going to be anything significant. I hear that from some people, that they believe that with Manchester United we will fight more this season, and maybe that is true. But if we don't achieve the targets we want to achieve, at least we will have known from the very start of the season as to the reasons why we haven't achieved our targets this season. That squad at the moment is not good enough. It's really bad. That's a really bad team. A really, really, really bad team. And we've got Manchester City. Yes, it's a friendly, but it's a Premier League opposition on the eve, right? On the eve of the Premier League season officially starting, you want to make a couple of good impressions. You go into Fulham, and then that's it. You're underway. The campaign's there. You're playing for points. You are playing for points, and we've got a team at the moment that's not built for points. It's not built for points. It's built for mid-table struggles, because the problems that put us into mid-table last season are still there, still very much there. So yeah, for anybody that wants to come out to call me a negative Nancy, then please feel free, put it in the comments, Mr. Negative Nancy. But it's just the way that I feel. It's just what I see is essentially what's becoming ever more prevalent in my peripheral vision when I look at Manchester United and the summer transfer window. Mazraoui probably is not going to happen now because Bayern allegedly want to put the pricing up for that as well, which makes no sense because Bayern want to sign players, but they can't sign players because they're in the same position as we are. They need to sell. So sell us De Ligt. Sell us De Ligt, and then you'll get your targets. I don't see what's so difficult about that. We really desperately want a centre-back signing. We've got terms agreed. The only green light we're waiting for is that the funds or the squad positions are cleared for us to actually complete the deal. And who's standing in the way? Matthijs de Ligt. We've got to sell Matthijs de Ligt, guys. We've got to sell him to Manchester United, and we can't sell him to Manchester United unless we lessen the price. No. That's what we've got to do. We've got to push the price up. Push the price up. But wouldn't that mean that we'd definitely not sell the player and then not get Jonathan Tah? Yes, it would. But trust me, that's part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. You see, logic is not logicking very well. It's not logicking very well. Bayern are trying to do a madness with the De Ligt Mazraoui stuff. Do I think Mazraoui will happen? I think if it happens, it won't happen until very, very tail end of the window. And I'll tell you what, if and I suppose it's still a little bit early days, just a little bit early days, but if we signed De Ligt, right? Let's say we signed De Ligt and we managed to scrape a midfield signing. So no Mazraoui, no Ugarte, no anybody else. Just those two. Just those two deals will do. Wan-Bissaka doesn't go. McTominay doesn't go. Casemiro doesn't go. Eriksen doesn't go. Hannibal doesn't go. Lindelof doesn't go. Or Maguire doesn't go. I am giving this transfer window a fat 3 out of 10. A fat 3 out of 10. I'm pretty sure I gave last transfer window a 3 out of 10 as well. And we overpaid for Mount, Onana, and bloody Højlund. And I'll be rating this transfer window the same. And not for the same reasons either. Just in terms of the what it actually does for the team. What it does for the squad overall. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. Because I wouldn't be satisfied. I wouldn't be satisfied with it at all. So, is what it is, people. Do be sure to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below. If you are a Manchester United fan, do you feel the same doom and gloom as some of us do? Or do you feel a bit more optimistic, cautiously optimistic, maybe? Might be a more accurate, descriptive term to use in this situation. And or if you're a rival fan, if you support another club, let me know what you guys think in retrospect from the outside looking in with Manchester United. Do we have any hope in hell? If I'll tell you what, if the transfer window ended tomorrow, I think most most of the Premier League clubs have done a lot less than what perhaps the fans were hoping would be done. So I can't imagine there's going to be an awful lot of happy people around. Just a quick one as well. Bloody Julian Alvarez signed for about £14 million or something, about £20 million. Yeah, £14 million. Moving to Atletico Madrid for nearly €100 million. I mean, what in God's name is going on with football in a world where not just Atletico pay this sort of a transfer fee, but for Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez for that transfer fee. I'm sorry, I don't rate Julian Alvarez that highly. Maybe 40, 50 mil. And 50 mil would be pushing it. Bloody €95 million. Fuck me. Unbelievable. And Manchester City, they've got such a ridiculous amount of money just from that transfer alone. They could just go out and splash it on another 3 signings. Knowing them, just splash on 3 signings and easiest title retention of their lives. The easiest title retention of their lives. They'll probably win the bloody league with about 10, 20 points between them and second place. I mean, Jesus Christ. It does make you wonder how or why Man City are getting £95 million or euros for a player that's not really €95 million. He's not really worth that by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, I'm not going to delude myself in thinking that, because my feet are firmly placed and planted on the ground. They're not desperate to go overrate somebody to such a degree where he's like bloody 100 million, hundreds of millions of pounds. For instance, Kobbie Mainoo. Some people would say, well, yeah, he's like 200 million. Shut up. You know, at the moment, I'll tell you what, about 30, it's probably about 30 million for Kobbie Mainoo is probably about right. If you want Kobbie Mainoo to be 100 million plus, give him another year, 2 years, 3 years of first team football until he is one of the established best players on the planet. Then you can start talking about 100 million plus. And people need to start rating people normally. Start rating your players normally. Get us out of this brain rot that is a player can pass a ball 5 yards instantly 50 million. So yeah, there you go. So Fulham are not expected to return with a new offer for Scott McTominay. So Scott McTominay's not going anywhere. So at this point, I might as well take down my last video. I might as well. I mean, I said that the deal was pretty much set to go, but they've seen alternatives. And they're going to go for the alternatives. We cannot sell any players. We just can't. Dependent on what the contract situation for a lot of these players are, I personally think that whoever's contract expires next summer will just be let go. I think that's the only way we're getting rid of most of these players. Just let their contracts run down. We have to do a fucking, like, I can't believe it, literally. Bloody Don Edu tactics. We have to fucking resort, stoop to Don Edu tactics to get rid of some bunch of bastards that are overpaid and have next to no talent required for this club to actually find success. Unbelievable. Crazy, crazy stuff. But anyways, guys, make sure to smash a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This club is going to kill me. Absolutely going to kill me.